Good morning, everybody. So glad to see all of you back here for another school year. And I thought, what better time than at our back to school meeting to take a few minutes to talk about our continuous improvement plan for the forthcoming school year, which we're calling Let's Crack the ELA SBAC. First and foremost, I want to welcome each and every one of you back for another school year. We're so lucky to be able to do what we're doing, being involved in education. We enhance students' lives and learning every day. Everything we do is for the students and is because of the students. And we want to remember that our ongoing goal is to ensure that every student has the means to learn in our classrooms. Now, I know you guys have all seen this before. This shows us the difference between equality versus equity. So in the first image here, we can see when everybody is given the same accommodation, in this case a box, not everybody's able to watch the baseball game. But in the example of equity, when each individual is given what they need, everybody is able to enjoy. Now, I've always been a fan of that analogy there, but as a lot of you know, I am a musician. And so I thought I would frame this idea of equity with the three totally killer guitar dudes. So here we have Tanner, Jason, and Mud. Now all three of these guys want to be totally killer guitar dudes. Now Mud on the right over here, he's your pretty standard guitar player. He's right-handed. He's got average size hands. So we give him a regular guitar. He's easy. But Jason, he's a little bit of a bigger guy. He's got bigger hands. So we've got to get Jason a bigger guitar. And if we look at Tanner, well, Tanner's left-handed. So in order for him to be a totally killer guitar dude, we've got to give him a totally killer left-handed guitar. But as we can see, when every totally killer guitar dude has the appropriate totally killer guitar in his hands, then sweet music is made. A lot of you probably recognize this young man. This is Lorenzo Lerner, and Lorenzo's from Mexico. Now, he enrolled in his first U.S. school when he was in the 5th grade. When he arrived at our school, his English level was very low. Like a lot of EL students, Lorenzo didn't meet or exceed the state standards for 7th graders. But with extensive interventions from his teachers and with after-school tutoring, Lorenzo exceeded the 8th grade standard on the SBAC and ELA and was reclassified as an RFEP. Lorenzo is now enrolled in AP classes at Bonita Vista High School. Now, we want all of our students' stories to be success stories like Lorenzo. But in order to get there, we've got to see where we're at, and that starts with a kind of a tough figure. 91%. Now, this is the number of EL students who deserve a success story like Lorenzo's. Looking back at our 2016 SBAC ELA results, 91% of our EL students did not meet or exceed the standard for the ELA SBAC. Rundown of where we are now, that's our current reality, and where we want to be, which is our ideal state. As it stands, we've got 66% of all students in 7th and 8th meeting or exceeding the SBAC ELA standards. By the end of this school year, we want to see if we can get that number up to at least 71%. Likewise with ELs, we've got 9% of them meeting or exceeding the standard right now. We want to get that up to at least 14%. Right now, we've got students practicing their reading, writing, and skills primarily from a single text in most cases. We want to see students practicing those critical thinking skills and reading and writing skills in a variety of contexts. And we really want to emphasize concept over process. As we know, ELs are a growing portion of the population. And as it stands right now, we've got them grouped into 3 categories, and we expect them to progress through those categories during their time at our school. So to help with their progress, we want students to experience SBAC-style assignments throughout the school year that's going to familiarize them with the format. In my own observation and also in feedback that I've gotten from teachers, what I've seen is that teachers are using a primary set of text for students and in most cases are asking them to replicate a skill according to explicit instructions that they're given. We also know, talking again about the growth of EL population, that teachers struggle to meet the needs of diverse student groups, and a lot of you have told me that. So in our ideal state, we want to see that teachers have access to a variety of materials that emphasize a deep understanding of those critical thinking, reading, and writing skills. We want teachers to learn about and to utilize using student grouping techniques to allow students of various backgrounds and abilities to interact with each other and to learn from each other. And we want to make sure that teachers are completely briefed and informed about special interventions and services that are available to the students. And finally, looking at our resources, right now we do have after-school tutoring available that is specifically for ELs. We've also got an EL support staff that's here to help with training teachers on techniques and strategies for ELs. Also, each of those EL levels has its own curriculum and student support resources, but those haven't been readily available to the teachers. And overall, we see that the special interventions that we have are not being used to their full capacity, and we want to change that. We want to make sure that ELs are taking full advantage of the tutoring opportunities. We want to schedule monthly trainings from the EL support staff, and we want to have scheduled monitoring and follow-up to get feedback for teachers and for students. We want EL students to be able to access the most appropriate level of support based on a number of data points that we collect about them. And we want to make sure that teachers have all available curriculum and that they receive training on implementing that curriculum from the EL support staff. So at this point, you're thinking, yeah, that sounds great, but how are we going to make this happen? Well, like I said before, we're going to start off with monthly PD that's going to be focusing on group work in the classroom and particularly on teaching ELs. We're going to be looking into providing the resources you need to deliver effective instruction, and that's going to include collecting those resources to have at your disposal. We want to start implementing regular review and analysis of performance data, and we want to make sure that there are opportunities to plan and implement intervention strategies that are based off of that data analysis, because far too often we get to the end of the semester and we find that we've simply run out of time and we don't really have an opportunity to make corrections based on what we learned from the performance data. Also, again, we want to focus on group work in the classroom, group discussions, group projects, group assignments. We really want to start having our students learning with and from each other. And finally, and what I think I'm going to enjoy the most, we're going to celebrate our successes whenever, wherever, and however they happen, because every step we make in the right direction is worth celebrating. Equity and excellence cannot be divided. If we expect excellence, then we must expect that equity is there and available for every student. So that's it. The journey to success starts right here. So let's jump in together and let's make it happen. Have a great school year, everybody.